You're doing it bigger. I deserve a cosign. Doing creative things. Do you deserve a cosign?
You, nobody else's song?
Yes, let the river of my worship.
Oh, well, thank you. Don't leave me hanging when I started.
No.
Step in there with me. And if you start with me, I'll be done with it quicker.
Okay, you're right.
I said my mama that earlier.
All right, Brik, hit it. Go ahead.
Now I'm nervous. I don't know why.
Let's rock and Bankhead bounce to it. Go.
You deserve a cosign.
Yeah. Welcome, y'all, to another episode of the Cosign. This is the catch up. This is us reconnecting with some of our favorite guests in the past. We've already caught up with the beautiful Whitney Rain. Shout out to her. We had so much fun on that interview. Dougie gives Whit a hard time every single time she's on our show, but she made it on through by the grace of God.
Yes. Bless him.
Speaking of course, my amazing co-host, producer, and brother, Douglas Watley of the Watleys, is here, also by the grace of God. Wasn't quite sure he was gonna make it today, but
I know, right? Hey, you know what? Let me say this too, guys. I know I look a little rough. But don't talk about me. Pray for me. If you don't mind. Corona got me terrified, okay?
What?
Brik, it's good to see you.
Brik.Liam, my fave. Oh my gosh. Dougie, clap.
Hurrah.
Hi, Brik.
Hola, ¿cómo estás?
First of all, no Spanish.
Good, I'm good.
I'm so happy to have you back.
I'm happy to be back. I really enjoy conversing with you guys. So, yes.
Hey, Brik, are you in a Know Your Saints necklace?
Or two?
The only jewelry that I wear.
You know how to stroke somebody's ego, but
no, on a genuine tip though, no, seriously, this is the only jewelry I wear. And I get excited to do things like this because I haven't been able to like get dressed to go anywhere. So anytime I have to do like stuff like this or like do something online or film something, I have to wear it. It makes me feel really, really like confident. It's not super gaudy, but it just feels very, anointing.
Brik is truly a KYS king. No, I really appreciate you always rocking your KYS and tagging us.
Thank you for gifting me.
Yeah, you kill it.
Brik, let me talk about your like style game. Like,
yes,
you're a lot more stylish than. See, the thing about you, I don't want to get started, but let me get started. The thing about you is that you're very modest. Like, if people meet you, they'll always see that you're very chill. You're very whatever. I want you. I've never heard you say, and I wish you would one day. I wish a nigga would. Like, I cannot.
Go ahead, just say it right here, right now. Just say it.
I wish a nigga would.
Yeah, see, that didn't even sound right. That's what I'm saying. Like, you're so kind beyond measure. So
there's sides to me.
Is it because you're a student of the world? Are you constantly pulling in culture or information? How do you because you're usually at the front of things. So how do you stay where you are?
I feel like I'm very observant, but I also feel like I'm just so accustomed to being by myself. It gives me a lot of time to like focus on what I need to do, or at least it usually does. But with social media and stuff like that, it can be very difficult sometimes. But I think just me spending a lot of time by myself and focusing on creating things that I really enjoy has been the only reason why I'm still doing what I'm doing now, or why I'm doing what I love still.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have with that, man. That's pretty cool. Do you think some great art gonna come out of this from you?
I think what's crazy about that is I haven't really been thinking about great art coming out of it. I have, however, kind of more recently, I mean, it's been months since we've been like in quarantine, but I've been thinking more about me progressing as a person, like in my soul, in my spirit, in my heart. And I'm just not getting to the place where I'm addressing things and trying to fix it. And I think the art will kind of reflect that. once that process is like over, whenever it comes. In the beginning, I tried to like force some stuff out of it, like, oh, I'm at home all the time, thinking that was going to give me more time to create, but it absolutely did not. Time seemed to go by faster, or, you know, the mental side of all of this, like being home alone and not being able to progress. Before, if I'm working a job, I'm having to get out of bed to go to work. And now that I'm working from home, there's no reason for me to kind of get out of bed. I mean, there is, I'm still working, but it just feels too comfortable to kind of just sit in your own shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, and just kind of sulk and all that. So I had to deal with that the first couple of months of processing through that. And now I'm at a place where I'm finding my rhythm, even though it constantly changes. I'm finding a way to kind of like battle the inconsistency of literally everything. So yeah, to answer the question, I think I've been working on the personal side, and that will reflect in the music.
Sorry, KayKi. Hey, come on, jump back here with us.
Listening, you know, great questions, great answers. As always, it's a pleasure, like I said, to just sit and chat with any creative, but you are someone who I think, as Dougie kind of touched on, can just do so many things. You know, it's so hard. It's difficult for me. I was making a post the other day, actually, Know Your Saints post, trying to figure out, you know, what do I call Brik? You know, and it's very rare that I'm in that situation. Like, I'm making a post and I'm like, well, I could say that he is like a singer, songwriter, a recording artist, but then that leaves out the fact that he is a visual artist and he's a graphic designer and he could totally be a stylist if he wanted to, and he's a curator and he's a, you know what I mean? Like, and it just keeps going.
And he's the illustrator for a book.
And it just keeps going on and on and on and on and on. It's like, what the heck do I say? You know what I mean? I sat there for like 5 minutes, so I put it in the post like, look, I don't know exactly what to call this dude, so I don't even remember what I said, but it was something I made up in the moment. And so as Dougie was talking about whether or not you feel more creative or less creative, I was thinking, you know, what do you call yourself? Like, how do you take all of these like things and give yourself a title?
I've had my hand on a lot of different things like my whole entire life. But music has been very, very important to me. And as my life is changing and developing in that direction, I kind of wanted to shift and put more focus on it. And I've been having to deal with my own ego during this time and trying to figure it out, because I think you look at people like a Missy Elliott or a Pharrell. She's written songs for so many different people, and though Pharrell is this amazing producer and even an artist, he's also a fashion icon. Kanye West, the same, all these different people, but they all came up under one like thing. So they all came up under music and then kind of like developed in those other areas.
Yeah.
For me, it doesn't feel the same because of this, the era that we're in. Like, there's so many different possibilities, and I think I've been trying to kill my ego on the side of, I want people to have respect for BrikLiam as a musician and as an artist without me having to be everyone's like go-to guy. But the reality of it is too, is there's nothing wrong with that, because I'm here to serve in the arts, and bills are real. You know what I'm saying? So like, I just recently, I've recently put in my 2 weeks at my job. I've been doing graphic design at this establishment for the last 3 years. It's one of the reasons why I was able to move and stay in Dallas. And it's been like a scary like faith jump, because I'm like, there's so many other things I can be doing. If I put all my energy into this job because it's a consistent paycheck that really is not going to take care of me, there's other things I can be doing that I don't mind staying up in the middle of the night for, because it also fulfills the creative spirit that I have. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm also recognizing that there's ways to develop that. I'm going to have to just grind it out and figure a way out, because I think I spend a lot of time looking at other people and being like, well, they did it this way, or so-and-so came up under music. I can still be successful in music and also still have another creative outlet that allows me to bring in some kind of income, and people know about me in all these different facets if I allow myself to accept that I'm going to be the first of many, versus me trying to look at other people's blueprints, if that makes sense.
You know what's funny though, Brik? Mm-hmm. The funny thing about you is that people are looking at you that same way. People are looking at you as a blueprint on how to become their next step, how to take their next step, how to walk into who they're going to be next. and you're trying to look at others like, oh, I don't know what to do. It's interesting to see how that. But I think that reminds. I mean, by no stretch of imagination am I a youth. But there's something I realized, especially after I hit 30, that if I want to achieve what I want to achieve, I got to be willing to do what comes to me. Like what's the things that make me. You know what I mean? You have so many things that make you that it don't matter what you come up in, you shine.
And that's kind of been bittersweet to understand that, because I can see that and I can see how other people will look at it that way. But the other perspective for me is that though I enjoy doing like visual art stuff,
that ain't where you want to be.
Music is my love. That's the thing that I felt like was gonna, and it's been developing over the last couple of years. A lot of major opportunities I've received over the last couple of years have really been in music, but also on the visual side too. So it's just like, it's more about me humbling myself to understand that you have all these abilities. God didn't put you on earth to withhold them. You know what I'm saying? Of course, I want to make sure that people are respecting me and business is taken care of, you know what I'm saying? But it's one of those experiences where you kind of have to just do what God has told you and allow it to make sense later on. Because in the beginning, it could look like, well, I'm up here doing graphics for everybody, but what about music? And then fast forward, maybe like Adobe Creative Cloud, they're like, oh, he uses all our programs, but he's also an artist. You don't know what kind of campaign can be presented through that. Again, I think so many artists and so many creatives, like you said before, are looking to other people as a blueprint for the next thing, when I'm literally creating my own space, my own era, my own kind of just like thing. And I guess I didn't see it like that until we're actually like talking about it. But
you are welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, it really, what it is, Brik, and the reason why I love the KOSIGN, and the reason why I stress so heavily when we first started that it wasn't just about music, is because I know very few people who I like genuinely love as an artist that are only good at one creative thing. You know what I mean? They might not be strong at something, like as strong at one thing as they are something else, but creativity is sort of like this ever growing thing in a person. And what I love about you, and what I always like to encourage in you, is that you don't have to be just one thing. You want it to be clear. I think we had this conversation like earlier in your career, just at coffee or something. You want to be clear to people that you do this or you do that, but you don't have to just do one thing. You know what I mean? And especially when you're operating at a level that you're operating at, which is just really, really great work, both in music and in the arts, the visual arts. Why not be both of those things or all of those things? I think it just comes down mostly to you managing your time and prioritizing so that you can stay healthy and creative and all of these things, and not saying, oh, I need to be more of this or less of that, or how do I navigate that? I think you just be, because you have evolved into exactly what you're saying. Like when people think of you, they do think of this dope musician, this incredible singer, this songwriter, this person like that we love, but we also think of you as this artist that we really want to see. We want to see what you do graphically. We want to see what new thing you post on your Instagram,
Because every 3 days you're doing something cool. Like every 3 days I'm like, I hate this nigga.
Yeah.
Like,
I see something and be like, oh, Brik did that. You know what I mean? I saw PJ's video. I was like, oh, Brik did that. Like, I didn't even think twice about it. I was watching it on YouTube and I'm like, that's definitely Brik. You know what I mean?
That's cool. That's cool as heck, though. That's you.
Yeah. So there's no title. I guess that's the answer. There's no title.
You're a multifaceted entity. Like that's faceted entity.
All right. So the next point I want to make is, as you see your music growing, your audience is growing as well. And I have a couple of young artists, fans. They happen to be a couple of my favorites because they are my niece and nephew, Madison. Madison and Phelan, they recently posted a cover of something you did with the Amour. So I want to bring them on here really quick. They won't be on long. Just to say hi to you, because I want to be the best Tia in the world. And maybe they have a couple of questions for you. Maybe you can give them some inspiration.
Or totally be an a-hole. How
that's one of my biggest fears. Like,
It's
living
completely
up.
unacceptable to ever be anything less than like super nice and super sweet to my nieces and nephews, or I will take your life.
I just want to also say that the nieces and nephews don't ever want to say hey to me, but whatever.
First of all, Dougie, they've been talking to you their whole lives.
The whole life.
Enjoy. Always the bridesmaid, never the bride.
All right. Hi, Madison Symphony and Phelan Feaster.
What's going on, y'all?
You guys look so cute.
That's Phelan?
That's Phelan, yeah.
You're absolutely an auntie. That is absolutely an auntie thing.
I know, I can't help it.
That's a great thing.
So, y'all, this is Brik. Y'all know Dougie already. I wanted to bring y'all on here really quickly as two younger artists who I know are hugely inspired by his work, and see if you guys had any questions for him or if you wanted to say anything to him about his artistry, and if he had any advice for y'all. So I'll let y'all take it away.
Madison, ladies first. You can go.
Of course, me first. Anyway, I just wanted to know, first of all, your creativity is out of this world, for one. I love your music. Well, Tia put me on when she brought me and my little cousin to Atlanta, and she was playing it over and over and over. So I'm just in the car, and I'm like, continue to love me. Continue to love. But that was like great. But what I wanted to ask is, if you weren't a singer, would you like direct videos for people? Because like you're really good with your videos and editing. Like it's top notch, like great.
That's crazy. We were just talking about that, and I'm kind of in a place where I'm just figuring it out myself, balancing being, having your hand in multiple things. And I think during this time, now that the industry has kind of changed, most independent artists are having to do all these different things. I'm learning that that's not a bad thing, and so I'm still figuring out if that answers your question. But I think in the future, I would love, once I have more balance in my life, what's going on, I would love to direct and help other creatives and other musicians, develop, amazing art. So ultimately, I think that definitely is in my plans of the future.
All right. Well, that was it for me. Phelan, you can go.
So first off, big fan. Like, I love your music. I love your style. I love your tone. Like, the tone of your voice. You're one of my inspirations. So I appreciate you and the work that you do. But the question that I have is, like, what inspired you to become an artist? Like, what gave you your drive and your motivation?
Honestly, just thinking about my journey, I actually never thought I would make it to the point where I am now. Even though it's not where I officially want to be, I've come a long way. And I just think people over time, people like Doug, different people I've been able to collaborate with over the last several years of my life, that has allowed me to like get from point A to point B to point C, because you just kind of don't know what it looks like until you look up and you're like, oh wow, I'm in this space now. And so it's really just been people along the way that have been kind of like helping me and pushing me and helping me develop as an artist, or just believing in me and giving me an opportunity to record or giving me an opportunity to sing somewhere, or whatever the case may be. I would say that's my answer. Keep along the way. Yeah.
Don't put me under that pressure.
Come on, Phelan. Hit him with that. Hit him with something. Show him what you got, Phelan.
Don't put me under that pressure.
Brik, don't worry. You love
it. I don't want to do it like
that.
that.
They both can sing.
I'll give
you something though.
Wait.
Lord, I'm split in two. Part of me loves the world and the other loves you. So what do? I want to be safe, but I gotta stay cool too. I'm not a fool. I know eventually I'm gonna have to choose. And really, I don't want to lose my ticket into heaven and a chance to be used by you. If it's God that I'm after, I just can't serve two masters. And before something happens, I gotta turn it all around, because I know I can't just have my cake and eat it too. Because it's real easy to stay on the fence and still do you. It'd be cool if we could love the Lord and still go do our thing. But see, it don't work like that. You gotta be white or black.
Thank you, Tia Bailey.
Man.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. I thought that was your song, but they knew all the words.
That's not his song.
Uh-huh.
Not his song. I ain't gonna do it like that. I ain't gonna do it like that. But I gave it
Madison, what you got, baby? What you got?
Go ahead, Madison Symphony. Hit us off. Sing us something.
Ooh, Lordy. Okay. I don't even know what to. Wow.
Something about Brandy.
Something about Brandy. Huh? Something about Brandy. Oh, okay. Whew. Is the only explanation to the question at hand. Like years gone away. Whoa, wait a minute, I messed up. Like years gone away in a single day. There's nothing that compares to the way you make me feel inside. And I'm so glad you're mine. Prince Charming, my angel, my king and my friend, my lover, my one. He is the beat of my heart, the kiss on my lips, my lover, my one. He is.
Go ahead, Brik. Go ahead. Second verse, Brik. Go ahead.
That's so high. So high.
Come on.
I can sing it an octave lower.
Go ahead.
Okay.
They could take away the money, my fortune and fame. But as long as you stay here with me, I will be okay. I look at you and I see me, just reflections of the love you made me. And I'm so glad you wanna be my angel, my king,
Yes.
and my friend,
Yes.
my love. Yeah. Yeah, that was really good. Wow.
Yes.
These kids nowadays, like, they just like come out the womb like swinging. Like I had to develop a lot to sing like I do now, but these kids like literally are born with like crazy voices. Like it's crazy.
Yeah.
All of the time in our family that, you know, growing up, it was like a big deal to McSwain kids, which were my siblings and I. McSwain children had to sing all the time, everywhere. Anytime my mama called us up to sing. And this next generation, they're just better than us. Like, and we're not mad about it. We say it all the time.
But guess what? We were better than the generation before us, though.
Right.
We were eating them up. We were killing
The
them.
thing is, there's generational curses, but there's also generational blessings. So
Fact.
yeah.
Like, their ears are better. Their expressions are better. Their like movements.
They just get it.
They just get it. They're just better. So y'all dope.
Y'all make
that was on the spot asking y'all to sing in front of somebody y'all really admire. So I'm sorry, but actually it was Dougie's fault.
It was my fault. But you know what? I haven't heard you guys sing in a long time, and you sound beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Madison and Phelan,
That's crazy.
before y'all go, tell Tia or tell the audience maybe one thing that you learned from an artist like Brik, or one thing that inspired you about his journey so far.
Once again, ladies first.
See. This is why I'm going to you sometimes. Whew. Okay. What I've learned from Brik is that, honestly, just like be yourself, like be creative, like just go for it. Like just put your all. If you're gonna do something, put your all into it, and like I don't know, just like let your mind go and flow and all that stuff. And like for me as a singer, I always thought like if I get big, like which route would I go? Would I even get big? Because I'm like with other kids around, they're more like pop, and I'm more like I guess R&B, or like more soul. Like I grew up in the church, so I sing like a different way than like the kids who are like really big sing. But I just realized like just be yourself, like make your own lane. You don't have to follow after anybody else. Just
You know
just
what? In the flow.
What I like take away when it comes to music, my biggest inspiration like isn't even a singer, it's my dad. So I'd sit, I learned Pro Tools, I learned everything I can from him. And what he, like, we have a lot of dialect while he's working. So what I just try to grasp everything. And one of the things he always tells me is, whether I do gospel, R&B, soul, pop, whatever I want to do, just make sure I go full force at it. And the world not going to be easy on me like he is or my parents are, because they nurture me. So it's like, I just got to give my all in everything that I do. And I recognize that in you and your work and your style. A lot of artists like Michael Jackson or Stevie Wonder or anybody who has a very creative force, I just hope to surpass or even reach that level.
Sadly, you'll surpass because you're a generation below.
Absolutely. Already.
Thanks.
All right, Brik, anything you want to say to these young bucks before they go?
Y'all are amazing.
I like to say something. So nobody asked me if I want to say something to them.
Eddie,
Yes, I
like to
please remember to smack it, flip it, rub it down. Oh no.
Wow.
Take it easy.
Maddie,
Yes.
where can we find you on Instagram, Madison?
Oh, Madison Symphony. That's Madison with the Y though.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of different, you know.
Phelan Feaster, but I'm going to spell it for you because a lot of people don't know how to pronounce or spell my name. PhelinFeaster.
There you go. Well,
Hey,
thank
Madison, you got a boyfriend? Because my little brother's looking for somebody.
Woo!
He's 12, but don't worry, the age
Lord,
difference
my
will work out. The age difference will work. We'll talk about it later.
Oh,
Anyways,
Cheers.
thank you guys for popping into my interview. I love you so much. You're the cutest, oldest niece and nephew of all time. And the
Thank
best.
you.
Thank you, Tia.
Welcome. Bye-bye. Love you.
Love you
Bye
too.
bye.
Yes.
All right. So, adorable kiddos. The future is bright, right? Crazy talented. I hate that I might, there's so much distortion in them singing, so I might cut that out.
No, that's not. I heard it perfectly.
Well, once I play it back,
You'll know.
Because trust me, I know them and they will never let me live down the fact that I posted. Yeah, I just thought it was important to get some young bucks on here who, especially because you might be in a weird place. I don't want to say where you are. How do you feel about your journey right now? Where do you think you are in it? You know?
I think most artists probably feel like they're never in the right space. I think regardless of who you are, you always want more. And like I was explaining earlier to them, it's really about getting from point A to point B, because even my point B, I never thought I would make it there. You know, recording for the first time, and then that leading to me recording again, and then me finishing an album that I didn't think I was going to finish, but I knew I needed to, led to me going on my first tour. Like, you just don't know, but once you get there, you know that, okay, I need to go higher.
Yeah.
It's like every time you go somewhere, you want to go to the next thing, because you're just like, oh, I actually made it here. This is crazy. Let's go to the next thing. You never want to settle. I think even someone like Beyonce, she's Beyonce.
Right.
I'm sure she looks around, there's still plenty of things that she wants to do and accomplish. So I think all artists are always in a weird space. What'd you say, Doug?
Nothing. I was going to say something, but I was like, why? It was going to be a good joke, though. It was going to be great.
Oh.
Well, I asked that because for me, it's just super cool and inspiring to know there are younger artists or other artists just in general out there who look to you and they're just like, oh my God, Brik, like you're so amazing and you're doing this and you're doing that and you're so talented and your tone and you're this and you're that. And you're probably like, dude, like I'm, you know, I'm just,
my mind.
Yeah, one step at a time, you know.
And I mean, even a lot of the things that they were saying, we were just talking about it, me trying to find the balance between, and everybody's just like, well, you're just super creative, and it's an okay thing. It's not a bad thing, you know?
Exactly.
So.
And that was just confirmation, because we were just talking about that before they got on the line. And the first thing they say is, you know, you just teach us how to just be ourselves and be creative and use our talents and do whatever we want to do with them, you know? So that's just exactly what we just said. That's what you come off as to people. So
that's always been my intent. So
awesome sauce. So since the last time we spoke to you, you have had like a number of amazing things happen.
Well, I've toured with PJ twice, opening for him. The first tour happened 2018 summer, 2018 April through like early June. My first national tour, went to Canada for the first time. It was crazy. You know what I'm saying? Independent artists had to rush and try to find some funds, figure out money-wise, like how it was going to happen, but it worked out. And then later on that year, December, he was on his Christmas tour. I was actually supposed to go on tour with him in the fall, but the company that was supporting the tour had like another artist they had in mind to go to do with him. So I ended up getting canceled for that. And so he went on tour again in December because he's literally always on the road. And so during his Christmas tour, one of the stops was Dallas. He asked me to open for that show. I opened for that show. Christmas Eve, he asked me if I would sign with him to Morton Records.
That's awesome.
So from December all the way to June, I was literally like going through it because I'm just like, when is this going to happen? How's this going to happen? Because of course the negotiating with contracts and stuff like that. On top of him, again, always been on the road. He's always super busy. So just trying to find the patience to wait it out. June came around. I think I just gotten back from this Russian tour that I did in June last year. And it was official. Released my first single, I think, in July sometime. And then I dropped the EP, What's the Matter, Brik, in October. Yes, October.
I don't care when my phone dies, 'cause I don't have nobody, no one, zero hit in my line. Said I be throwing out resumes and can't even get a part-time, no FaceTime. I be busy, but it gets real on my downtime. I need more than a pastime. What is you into? What is your type?
And then I did some dates with him at the top of this year, and then ever since then, we've all been in the house. So that's what's been going on that side when it comes to music. But yeah.
So, Brik, what was it like to, I know you have admired PJ's work. All of us music heads love some PJ Morton. I do. Like, I'll go to a PJ concert any day.
I do.
What was it like for you to get that sort of like stamp of approval, in a sense, from PJ Morton, who is not your average artist or singer? He is like an all-around musician, incredibly talented, well-respected as an artist. And for him, out of all of the artists, you know, that he could have looked at and said, hey, like, come be on our team. What was it like for him to do that for you?
I think it's something I'm still like processing, like every time I think about it or every time another opportunity comes up. Because the other side of that too is I end up kind of like being a part of his creative team. Mm-hmm. So I do a lot of his graphics now and a lot of his artwork, and he'll come to me and be like, hey, I need so-and-so, he's one of those people that is just like ratchet. Like I'll wake up to money and I'm like, okay, what is it that you need? And he's like, okay, I have this, So he's been just really, really amazing on that side, just kind of like, just constantly giving me opportunity. But I think what I've had to kind of like recognize too is that not only have the opportunities been gifted to me, but I've also been a good steward of them as well. So it wasn't just enough for him to say, hey, I want you to go on tour with me. I went on tour, and not that every night was perfect, but I think I did a really good job, to the point where people were saying consistently enough, Brik, Brik, Brik. And then he's like, oh, so Morton Records, you know what I'm saying? Like, it was consistent enough for him to think, I really want to support this dude. I know that he has a vision. I know that he knows what he wants. He already has a team. He can do any and everything by himself.
Right.
Why not support somebody like that? And I just have felt super lucky, you know what I'm saying? Especially coming from PJ, like, especially during a time where his career has shifted in different places, like Grammy 2 years in a row, like just consistent stuff. And it's just been, it's been like an everyday, like, wait, this really has happened. I think since like when I opened for Layla over like a weekend of time, I had to learn during that time that it was more about living in the moment, because I'm so accustomed to perfecting the moment and like making sure the performance is amazing. And then when it's not, I'm kind of like in my bag about it. And people are like, you're amazing. I'm just like, oh, it was all right. Like trying to get out of that and really live in it that way, I can allow that to settle like in. Mm-hmm. And so that I can move forward knowing that I've accomplished certain things and that there's more for me. I just highly respect him, because I think for him to authentically for him to be an artist that authentically is himself, like he hasn't switched up, even with him being signed to Young Money at one point in time, he still has been PJ, you know, sonically, and just been very consistent in that. And I respect, I'm sure maybe it's not how he pictured it. I won't say a slow rise, but, you know, a gradual thing. I feel like I've always desired to have like a PJ Morton, Emily King type of thing, like a gradual thing, because you see artists all the time, they pop today, and then it's hard to keep up with it, you know what I'm saying, and be consistent and stay at that height. So I think it's just better to allow you to get to point A to point B to point C, you know what I'm saying, and allow each era to be elevated.
You know what?
So for PJ, yeah.
I do think too that, and I may be wrong, it's an assumption, but I do think like that watching groups from the past, they had time to grow to success. It wasn't either hit today or you're done. It was 3 or 4 albums that nobody cared about. And then they get that one thing, and then they just, that climb still grows. It still grows, you know? Yeah. And then it grows to icon status where no matter how many lead singers you got in this group, we still want to hear these songs that ain't nobody that ever sung this music. You know?
And I think that's the key to it. I think gradual ascension, daily,
they're growing with you, you know, and I might be wrong, but I think that's why Michael Jackson hurt us so much, because we all grew with Michael. Like, as Michael went to the next crazy thing, we just saw him through it, you know, we saw the process. And so we're loyal to him beyond I'm just going to throw a random name out there, beyond I can't think of anybody who's really good, but just Trent D'Arby, if y'all know who that is. Wishing well, pretty talented dude, but we had no investment in his oddities. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. All right, I'm sorry, keep talking, Brik. I didn't mean to interrupt, man.
Yeah, I mean, to that point, I think just gradual ascension just allows people to last longer. Because again, if you pop up overnight, you're gonna have to keep that success, and a lot of people can't maintain that. Or, you know, at least not without a backing of like a major label. But the world is for everybody at this point, like because of the internet and people learning different abilities and being able to just put music on platforms with other major artists.
Yeah.
That sets you apart. Like I watch a big inspiration when it comes to indie artistry is Samo. Just to watch him develop like super independent, like touring by himself, like he doesn't need a cosign, like he just built it. You know what I'm saying? It's one of those build and they will come, and he built, and over a year's time, just growth, people coming and just being consistent on the road. Again, that's another person I think about when I think about people being on the road like that is PJ, just consistently giving people something, you know what I'm saying? And it doesn't have to be anything completely different. A lot of times the sets are completely the same, add or take away a few songs, and people are still coming, people still wanting. I think the humbling part about the quarantine is it's kind of resetting that standard. You know what I'm saying? Like, people are recognizing that not everybody can keep up with that. And that it's also helping other people kind of like just start. You know what I'm saying? People are understanding that tomorrow's not promised, so I might as well start now. And I can't, because everybody's in one central location, which is the internet. And we're all just trying, you know what I'm saying, and allowing us to get to point A to point B and so on and so forth.
All of your songs, they all feel like a moment, and like you can tell, and as a Brandy fan, that's what we're used to as well, like putting that album on, and every song you can be like, oh, like that, like you find a vibe or a moment in every song, and you can tell that it was so well put together, you know, from top to bottom. It's hard for me to look at her albums and be like, oh, that was just an album filler that they threw in there. You know what I mean? Especially not like in the heat of, you know, Full Moon and even Aphrodisiac and all these albums that just song for song for song for song, you're pulled into them. And with your projects, I feel the same way. So to hear you say, you know, I can't release a song unless I'm in love with it, unless it feels good to me, that's what I think about. Like, I can tell that as a listener, because every song feels like so complete and such like a concept. Even if it's going to go into another song, it still feels like, you know, like it was loved and taken care of, raised right, and, you know. all of
I
that?
try to. I really try. I think it's important because I learned earlier on that if I don't love it, other people won't either.
Mm.
It's just something about the spirit that you have when recording these songs and when you're developing these songs that's so important and so key to the life of it. It's like you said, like it's a baby, it's a child. Like I had to raise it right for it to be presented to the world in that same, way.
Do you find yourself like I think it was Esther Dean who said she's kind of like a melody like mumbler, and that's how she came up with oh no what's her name, oh no, she would just oh no, and they kept it right. They kept the oh nana. Are you a melody person like that, and you kind of fill in the gaps, or are you like a lyricist and then you put the melody to it, or do they sort of come together? How what's your process?
It's very sporadic. It goes in between those two spaces. Sometimes I'll have a melody in my head and I can't let it go. And so I'll record it on my voice notes, or I'll hear a beat and I already have something written, and then I'll create a melody with the words I already have written. A lot of times I'll have just like different like lyrics, like bars like that really stick out to me, that really like stick to me. I'll write it in my phone, and then sometimes I may come back to reference them, even though a lot of times I don't. Like I have different notes in my phone where it's just like a whole bunch of just stuff that I have not like gone back to that I probably need to. But yeah, it's very sporadic. It's very at random sometimes, just depending on the song. Yeah.
I think one thing I appreciate about your writing from years ago, I don't know if you still do this, but you used to write on other songs that are already like released. And you would just write a brand new song on just a random instrumental. I think as a writer, that's probably such a strong skill to have.
Yeah.
Because you're, as a writer, especially a writer who, I don't think you play any instruments to my knowledge, right? Maybe a piano a little bit, maybe. Smidge, right? I think like being in situations where producers are always like, here are the most random tracks, just right, and they're expecting you to build a masterpiece out of a turd quite often, you know what I mean? So I think like that's pretty powerful skill. What inspired that in you? Or were you
I think
to get things
to that point, and I mean, speaking directly to my first recording experience with you, it was because I was just like, people are doing mixtapes, rappers are doing mixtapes where they're taking instrumentals. I don't have money to, have somebody produce, and, I didn't have all the hours in the day to learn an instrument. Hey, this stuff is on YouTube. Hey, I'm just gonna take it off of YouTube and just write something new or do a medley or a mashup or something, and it's just all about just creating something, just the goal at the end of the day being creating something. And I've learned that the most creativity comes from the lack of something. You know what I'm saying? Like Black people are so creative because a lot of times we're put in a situation we don't have. Like a lot of the soul food that we have comes from leftover things, and we are creative because of the lack in our lives. We've been able to create and fill those spaces. And I think just over time, watching myself develop as a writer and an artist, it's because I lacked it. You know what I'm saying? Like I haven't always been like one for like other people writing for me. So that was like a thing where I was just like, I gotta write because I wanted to develop that muscle a lot more. But it just developed from, hey, I don't have money to produce or have something produced. So let me just write to instrumentals. Then it became a thing of people sending me random instrumentals. Well, this is what I have to work with in this time. So let me go ahead and do it, until I met somebody who was just there to listen to every single idea I had when it came to composing songs. And then that happened. So it just, every era, every season was something different.
All right. So before we wrap this up, you did release a project. I know it was back in October. But What's the Matter, Brik dropped, right?
Oh, yeah.
And really cool visuals, and just, I guess it was sort of you presenting yourself to what I think is a larger audience than maybe you have reached with before due to signing to Morton Records. I know that you said earlier that your intention was to drop that project, tour, give it some time to breathe. I think that project is still alive and well. You know, do you have any intentions on doing anything special or specific with any of the remaining songs on the project? Are you working on any remixes or collaborations or
So
anything?
I hadn't considered that. I think I mentioned earlier where the plan at the top of this year was to start and finish filming for the visual, visual project surrounding that. And I was going to, so the plan was to create this whole visual project, make merch, because each song would have its own kind of like aesthetic or look or whatever, make merch for each song, because it's only 4 songs on the EP.
Mm-hmm.
And then do a tour where the merch is like shirts and then like posters that I've designed. So again, bringing those worlds together, like that was the whole plan, but that's not happening because nobody's doing concerts for a while, I don't think. But what I do...
On to Atlanta. Ain't nobody stopped doing nothing in Atlanta.
And I'm not doing that because I want to.
Because I want to live. Okay. And not die.
Yeah, so I still actually have some footage for one of the songs from when I filmed like a scene for it. So I think I'm going to take that footage because I took time to create that set and film. So I think I'm going to make like a lyric video or something for it with that footage and then kind of just move on. I feel like it served its purpose. I wanted to get new music out. It did garner new, support for one of the songs specifically, the single, Some Other Dude. Mm-hmm. And so I just think kind of someone move on. I feel like I did what I said I was going to do. I feel like it doesn't touch the ascension. I feel like it's definitely, it shows growth, but the ascension was so like heavy in my like heart that I just feel like it just didn't touch it. So I'm just waiting to I'm just working to kind of like fill out new music and see where it takes me and just kind of go with that. I'm thinking about maybe releasing like a song a month or something, or I don't know, just going with it. I feel like there's so many different abilities that I have that I'm focused on merging my visual and musical worlds a lot more when it comes to BrikLiam. I do it already, but like in another way. So cartoons, like trying to learn animation right now and perfect it, maybe incorporating that to create a whole thing. I really want a 3D printer so I can create like a character. Like I have all these different ideas, so I'm just waiting to get all that stuff flushed out and just go with what I feel in my heart.
I think that is so dope because first of all, let's go back. You talked about the ascension, right? I don't want to, I feel like, let me talk as a fan right now and not as like the host of this podcast episode. Let me just be a fan of BrikLiam, okay? Not your friend or anything, all right? Sometimes you release projects that are you're just not anytime soon going to be able to make something that like connects or like reaches the same way. Like the ascension, I feel like so far, like that's your full moon to me. Like that's like that.
It is.
And I have all of your projects, you know what I mean? Like I have them all. So I'm not just randomly like spitting out something. I know your music. I know your EPs. I know, that project is so good and
it's masterful.
So well put together and so BrikLiam. Like it is exactly what we love about you, like all of it, you know what I mean? And you even have a great speaking voice. So the fact that you do, everybody doesn't, like I don't. I have really like scratchy, soft, high.
I sound like this.
What?
That's how I sound in my head.
No, you don't. You're doing.
I can't listen to myself, but other people like,
me neither.
I love listening to you, but I hate it. Like I cringe it. But you have a great speaking voice, like a baritone voice. It's really good. So like the ascension just covers everything. And then to have been on that journey with it, I think is another thing because you really spent so much time in the graphics for it and like taking us on this like it was like almost it was a totally different world. Like
and you're a baritone in a tenor world, man. Like people weren't singing no baritone.
People weren't singing no baritone.
Listen,
really started.
Use what you got. Use what you have.
Use what you got. But I said that to say, don't feel the pressure. you know, from the ascension. I know I can't tell you that as an artist, but I know you're like, well, it didn't really live up to the ascension. I don't think it could have for a lot of people because, you know, that project was so like blood, sweat, tears, Brik, like through and through, you know, and sometimes things just happen. Like I said, it's your full moon, but sometimes these albums just come together in a way that are just so concise that doesn't mean you can't do it again. It just means that in that moment, the moment was so good that they all just kind of go together. Thank you so much for being with us again.
Thank you. I enjoyed myself.
So happy and so excited for you about all the wonderful things you have going on since we chatted the last time. We love you. We support you. You know that. And we're just excited to see your career grow. See you grow as a person. We love that. So until our next catch up, where can everybody follow you and follow your journey?
So you can find me everywhere on all platforms at BrikLiam or go to BrikLiam.com, BrikLiam.com. Boom.
Dougie?
Get 'em with it. Kill them.
You have anything you want to say before we go?
Yes, I'm happy to speak with you, Mr. BrikLiam.
Same
pleasure.
Also,
he will show up on time.
Look somebody in the eye and say, ladies,
Ladies,
I'm convinced
I am convinced.
that God will.
God will.
Show up when you want him, when you need him.
What's the dance?
What?
He's like, I don't listen to nothing but John P. Key, Milton Brunson, Marvin Winans. What was the name of that album?
Perfected Church.
Perfected Church. Let me add it to my.
Perfected Church.
And Mississippi Mass Choir.